This is Just in Case from American Newscape, joining our friend and lifestyle luminary, Joyce Rockwood. Joyce joins us to share cleaner options to alcohol for optimizing your health. Greetings, Joyce. Welcome back to American Newscape.
Oh, hi. How are you today?
I'm doing good, sorting through things, but I'm doing all right. Okay. Hey, let's get after this thing. When we last spoke, we discussed the repercussions of drinking alcohol over a prolonged period of time. For those who are looking to continue improving their health but still like to drink alcohol, can you share some cleaner alcohol options?
Yes, of course. And, sometimes people wonder why I even talk about drinking alcohol after I display all of the non-life generating, um, you know, negative side effects of drinking alcohol. And, you know, it does damage our brain cells. It does over time. I'm talking about repetitious drinking. I'm not talking about, casual here and there drinking, but repetitious drinking also damages our vital organs and our brain cells. But, what I want to emphasize here is that, the process of detoxifying the body is a long game. And I also acknowledge that some of my clients are not ready to give it up. And, we have to also think, when we go through this whole process of detoxifying the body, that, it's not something that happens in a day. It's not something that happens in a month or even a year. It takes several years to go through the process. And, the beauty of going through the process is that there are a lot of gifts along the way. It's really an investment in our health to take the time to start revamping how we're nourishing ourselves. And, the truth of the matter is that if you're creating some level of consistency to experience higher levels of vitality, you will certainly get there. And you don't have to quit drinking alcohol 100% to get great results. That said, we're not looking for perfection here. We're just really looking for that ongoing progress and some modified or changed behaviors. Oftentimes when I work with my clients and they begin to start cleaning up their diet, and we're just talking not even about necessarily the alcohol part yet, just talking about the food part, and they start to see the value in choosing they do start to see the value in choosing cleaner alcohol options, because as their biochemistry starts to get more alkaline, when they do drink alcohol, it doesn't always feel as good. Where my goal when I work with my clients is to help them create a more alkaline pH in their system overall. And so because of that, when they bring the alcohol back in, they start to feel less tolerant of it because their body is now more capable of recognizing it for the poison that it truly is. So, you don't have to feel forced to make quick or abrupt changes. Your liver will definitely benefit over time if you're drinking less alcohol, if you're maybe putting a clean day in or a no drinking day in between days where you are drinking and giving your body a little bit of a chance to catch up. That's another way I work with my clients, is kind of like creating some space for detox to actually happen. And a lot of times my clients will come in and they'll talk about, the next day after having wine the night before, and they have these headaches and they have dry mouth and they feel sluggish, and they're just like, it wasn't worth it. So we start to become our own motivation and our own inspiration for that change. So hopefully you start to see some of the options for yourself as we go through these as well. What I'd like to do is start out with the cleaner alcohol options first. And then there's also some fun ways to make some mocktails for the individuals who might be listening who prefer not to drink alcohol, or maybe, that's something that they, that they made a clear choice on because of some kind of addiction. And so we want to recognize and honor that. But we'll go over those mocktails second. Do you like to drink anything in particular? Do you have a favorite alcoholic beverage?
I did in the day. Primarily now, I will only occasionally have a drink in a social setting, and when I say occasionally, it's probably once a year. But
Oh,
yes,
wow. Okay.
yes, in the day, tequila by the quart was always a
Mhm.
nice way to start the evening. And I was, we all have different body chemistries. I
Yeah.
never suffered from hangovers. Of course,
Oh.
I was an athlete in the day, and I did lots of hydration. But
Mm.
it took its toll. It got in the way of my
Yeah.
athletics. It got in the way of my decision making, and I just eased away from it.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and before you get into this, mocktails are wonderful. Some people are court ordered not to drink. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but think people need to think about the toxins. So, if I live in a polluted environment such as Los Angeles or New York City, I'm already
Mm-hmm.
gagging down all the pollution that is in the air, absorbing
Yeah.
that into my system. But when I put alcohol on top of that, now
Right.
I'm putting an overload of toxins on my system. So it's all give and take. People need to live in New York. People need to live in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
Just try and make better choices for themselves. But mocktails are kind of exciting. I don't, and maybe I'll have a mocktail tonight once you show me the
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing. As you start to go through this process of cleaning up your eating habits and whatnot, you start to just naturally have this inclination to want cleaner options. So I know a lot of times when I start working with people, they get a little worried in the beginning. They feel like they're going to have they're going to be missing out on the things that they love. They feel they're a little fearful of deprivation, but it's really not like that at all. When you start cleaning things up and you realize you have so much more joy in your life and you're feeling so much better in your body, the inclination to drink alcohol for what most people use it for, which is de-stressing, is not as necessary because you've really cleaned up so many of the other ailments in your body, and the stresses a lot of times come from not feeling well. So if we can move those out of the way, then drinking alcohol to kind of cover things up is less necessary. So that said, let's start out with the cleaner alcohol options first, and then we'll go into those mocktails. By the way, just for the record, I'm 51 now. I've not had alcohol since I'm 24. So, and that was just a personal choice. I didn't ever really drink alcohol very frequently to begin with, but I never really felt good from having it. I was an art student in college, and I always remember, on those nights when I would go out and go to those frat parties to have a little bit of beer. I hated the taste of it so much I would actually hold my nose and drink it because I liked getting that little bit of a buzz on, right? But the next day it was never worth it. I felt so unmotivated and sluggish, and just my brain wasn't really feeling creative. And I just at some point said, this is ridiculous. the the residual effects are worse than and more and longer than the experience of like the joy that I was experiencing the night before. So I said, all right, no more of that. All right. So hot sake is at the top of the list. Hot sake. And then we're going to go into cognac. It's a triple filtered process with cognac. Did you ever like cognac? Did
Yes.
you ever drink cognac?
Oh, yes. A lot of cognac. After my tequila stage, I went into Cabassier VSOP, heated in the brandy snifter. It gave me a classy look. I looked better.
Yeah, I could
And
just hold it like this.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, cognac is a wonderful experience, but I don't drink that anymore.
Yeah, a funky flavor. I've had it a few times myself back in the day, but and then we're going to talk about wines here. So, if you're a wine lover, I know there are a lot of wine lovers out there. What I would recommend you do is just upgrade the quality of the wine that you're drinking to something organic or biodynamic. And the reason I recommend that is because those wines have less sulfites. And the sulfites definitely dehydrate the system. They can give you a lot of that brain fog, that cotton mouth, and that cotton head kind of feeling the next day. But when you clean up the sulfites and you have those cleaner wines, you actually feel better. You don't feel as hungover from drinking them. At least that's what my clients would tell me because I really never drank wine. I hated wine, and I can't say I've had the personal experience, but that's what I hear. So yeah,
And
biodynamic or organic wines.
yeah, and some of the blends they're laced with sugar. Like the German wines are
Mm.
famous for they up the sugar content. And a lot of people have issues with the tannins. Now, a lot of wine
Yes,
experts
yes.
will say, "Boy, the tannins in this are remarkable." Well, for me, just say no to that bottle of wine.
Right.
I don't care to drink something where the tannins are dripping down the side of the glass. But that's just me.
I can see new T-shirts being made up just on that already. Okay.
Okay.
Then we're going to go into, there's light beers, right? Light beers. There's, of course, non-alcoholic ones we'll do in the next section. Tequila. I think isn't that your favorite?
It
Wasn't it your favorite?
Well, yeah. It was, and there again, that was a fad aspect. It was a lot cooler for me to order a shot of tequila with a beer back. So that's why, and once I developed that habit, I never had the chemical dependency on alcohol,
Mm,
but I was in the alcoholic setting, in the
yeah.
nightclubs. So yeah, I liked ordering tequila. It was, for whatever stupid reason, moronic reason, I thought it was just cooler. And then cognac was cooler than that. So, all right.
And then
Okay.
we go into gin, rum, vodka, and then whiskey. So that would be your totem pole, the order and the totem pole. Hot sake at the top. My mentor Gil Jacobs always used to talk about hot sake. I remember having it once and feeling like I was just drinking a hot glass of alcohol, like literally, like rubbing alcohol. I was like, okay, this is intense. But there are just cleaner options for you. Okay. Now, I had some fun actually when I started to research the non-alcoholic options because I had no idea there was this because I don't really drink any beverages even if they're not alcoholic in nature. The only thing I really drink are vegetable juices, coconut water, and water. I don't, and maybe a tea on an occasion. But buying beverages is really not my thing. I actually just buy fresh, young, tight coconuts and crack those open myself. So there's an entire market out there of these incredible non-alcoholic options. So the first one is at the top of my list would be coconut water as non-alcoholic. So you could do that, crack those open with a Cocoa Jack if you have one. And if not, you can buy Harmless Harvest is a great variety, a great brand that's not pasteurized. Okay, so you want to make sure you're drinking coconut water that's not pasteurized. Otherwise, you're basically throwing your money in the toilet. Sorry. You can even add some fresh sprigs of mint to your coconut water. That kind of turns it into that mojito direction. And then you could also look at some tasty teas. And I know some of the things I'm going to recommend right now might be like, oh, that doesn't sound very exciting, but I've got some fun recipes for you here at the end. So stay tuned. And then some people like kombucha. So you can always try some kombucha. They'd make different flavors, different varieties of those. There's like I think a blueberry one or something like that. Some people like. There's a company. This company looks so cool. They're called Drinkgia. So it's spelled DRINKGHIA.com. That would be their website. Not an ad. I just Googled before and I was looking up what they create. So this is a non-alcoholic aperitif packed with only the following. They make it with a pure natural extract of potent plants, heady herbals, blithe botanicals. I love the alliteration. And
I'm sorry.
everything inside their bottle, it sounded like a horse whinnying. I don't know how you did that sound effect, but it was really funny. Everything in their bottle was picked because of its completely natural ability to soothe the body as also stimulate. So you have the best of both worlds. And they say that everything that they do promises a kick of energy and also something to calm down your mind. So you might want to check out drinkgia.com. Drinkgia.com. That beverage looked pretty interesting to me. And then there's a company I follow on Instagram. This company looks amazing. They're called Amass, and it's spelled Amass as one word. Amass Botanics. And they make these clean botanics for modern life inspired by plants. And they use natural botanicals to transform your social rituals. So for people who don't want to drink something alcoholic, you could use one of their options. They have one that's made with hard seltzer with hibiscus, ginger, and turmeric. I mean, doesn't that sound so good?
No.
Oh, come on. And then they have one called Sunshine, which is this one. Okay, if you say no to this, I'm going to come and check your pulse. Mandarin, vanilla, and oak. Bueller?
Well, other than the oak, so
Come on.
I assume they're taking mandarin and vanilla and aging it in oak barrels, but that's just my assumption. Or they
All
filtering
right.
it through oak sawdust. No, no, some of these things taste absolutely remarkable. So, I'm being a smartass, but
I'm curious. All right, then I'm going to give you one more of theirs because this one sounded really spectacular. It's called Riverine, okay? And this one has a number of things, but I just wrote down some of the most common ones that I could pronounce. Juniper, coriander, angelica root, lemon peel, cardamom, sorrel, cucumber, apple. I'm still going. Mint, parsley, rosemary, and time.
Time. Well, we all need time. That actually sounds almost refreshing. So no, that sounds good.
Okay, now I'm going to give you two recipes. Well, not you, the audience. What do
I,
you need them for?
I'm gonna get. I'm gonna give you my recipe. You want me to give you mine first, or do you want me to?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll put these in like a drum roll, please, at the end.
People. I live in an area where 120 degrees, 118 degrees is common. So we're always looking for
Yes.
refreshing hydration. And bottled water is a cool thing, but another thing that what your temptation is to go to those energy drinks, like Powerade, Gatorade. But now, yeah, exactly.
No.
No, exactly. Now you're using, you're for my artificial sweeteners, preservatives,
Right.
just not a good experience. So trying to wean off of that, I ordered
Hmm.
granulated ginger. And then I ordered cotton tea bags. So what I do is I fill my little
Ooh.
cotton tea bag and I put it in my little half-gallon jar and I set it out in the sun. Remember, it's 115 degrees. Sun tea.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sun tea.
I'm making this and I'm thinking, huh. And in drinking it, it is dramatically more refreshing than energy drinks. It's
Hmm.
dramatically more refreshing than iced tea without the caffeine or the tannins from the
Hmm.
teas. And I'm thinking, I just happened into this. And it's not expensive. Granulated ginger is actually quite affordable. So it's just something people might want to consider. You can do it in your microwave, but
Hmm.
I do it outside in the sun.
Tannins also, we were talking about those earlier. Tannins also dehydrate the body and they can dehydrate the throat too. So if you have like,
Hmm.
if you're sick, sometimes that's not really a great option. That sounds really amazing. You know what you also didn't mention there, which is a little woo woo, but totally scientific, is that you're getting the energy of the sun. Really.
Yeah,
It's
maybe,
beautiful.
maybe. I don't know, but I just decided to do it out there because I grew up and everybody made sun tea and swore by it, and this is the
Yeah.
only way to go. And so we have the heat and the sun to do it. But I
Yeah.
do put a couple packets of stevia in it to sweeten
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
But this is my new drink. No Moss
I
energy
love it.
drinks. No Moss.
No moss. And my mom used to make sun tea a lot when we were kids, so I remember that. Really good. Okay, so we're gonna give you two. I'm gonna give you. It had nothing to do with him. It's all my work. He
Right.
just sits back and adjudicates.
But yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
give
no, no. But people, when you get a chance, go on and comment of which of these recipes is by far the best. And
yeah.
I encourage you to encourage Joyce that hers were indeed better than mine. But okay, Joyce, give me your recipes.
All
Maybe you'll
right.
teach me
I
something.
got two, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't. I've never made either one of these.
Oh,
But I pulled them out. I pulled them out of a hat. No, I haven't personally made either one of them just because I'm not really a mocktail person. But I wanted to make sure that I could give you some options, and that's my job. My job here is to show up, and support you where you're at. And I'm never going to suggest you do something that's toxic. I mean, I'll certainly recommend healthier options for things that might seem a little bit on the edge. But again, I'm meeting you where you're at. This is again not about perfection. It's about helping you get into that state of progression. So the first one is a raspberry mint lemonade. So good. It sounds so good. Just that alone. Now, I don't usually recommend sparkling water or, bubbly water because it does create gas pressure in the system. But again, I like to be, considerate of like, people were coming from drinking, Jack Daniels and Coke. This is a heck of a lot better. And the other thing I talk about in my new online course, which I'm working on, is about knowing where to break, knowing where to put on your training wheels for this process and not feel like you have to go into these Olympic levels of dietary practices, really honoring our history. So if you were drinking soda before, if you were drinking things that were not as clean as the options we're talking about, then sparkling water is a whole heck of a lot better, and go easy on yourself for it. So raspberry mint lemonade, sparkling water, maple syrup, lime juice or fresh squeezed lime, same thing. Mint leaves, you can just crush those up with a mortar and pestle. And you just use the raspberries typically on top as a, as a garnish, right? And I mean, you could probably crush them up too if you wanted a little bit of the essence, but the way I saw the recipe was just to kind of put a couple of raspberries on top. And you can make that in minutes. I mean, that does not take a long time, just literally pouring water, maple syrup, lime juice, and mint leaves together. So that's an easy one. The second one is called Mango Meyer Lemon Margarita. Mango Meyer Lemon Margarita Mocktail. So this one, I actually have measurements for you, and we can put them in the show notes if that makes it easier for everyone. 16 ounces of sparkling water, but if you don't want the sparkling water, then just do flat water, totally fine. And then about 6 tablespoons of fresh mango puree. If you can get that in season now because you just have fresh mangoes, totally fine, or you can buy it. About a tablespoon of maple syrup, or maybe a little more to taste. I think with the mango puree, you probably don't need a lot. And then 2 tablespoons of Meyer lemon juice. Really good there. And then you can even put a little bit of coconut sugar around the rim of the glass and put one of those Meyer lemon wedges on the corner of the glass. So not corner, unless it's a square glass, on the side of the glass, on the edge there, and make it look really pretty. And put in some fresh ice cubes, put in a couple of sprigs of fresh mint for garnish, and there you are. So yummy. It sounds amazing, actually. I'd like to try that.
Well, I think
So those are my two.
Joyce, I think when you can, the next time we get together, you will have tried my recipe and your 2 recipes, so you can come back and give us a review of them.
Perhaps. Now you've given me homework?
Yes, but they both sound good. They both sound good.
Yeah, you could even use coconut water as your base in the Mango Meyer Lemon Margarita. Ooh, tongue twister.
Well,
instead, and then you wouldn't need to add any of the sugar because the coconut water would be its own sweetness.
Well, and you could utilize. I think people could also utilize for different flavors of that version. A few fruits, and maybe people that like papayas and want that enzyme action. Could use papaya instead of mango, and you could use cantaloupe. I know it's a higher sugar content, but you could actually start to move in the right direction. You could have a party of these mock cocktails, which actually sounds very strange, but I think it would be fun.
Oh, I think you could have I think you can absolutely have a party, and I think it would be fun for people to be able to experience a great time without the buzz,
No, absolutely.
or that potential hangover the next day.
Well, Joyce, before your final thoughts, let me give a couple final thoughts for our alcoholics that may be here listening. Most mock beer or alcohol-free beers have alcohol content to them, about 0.5% to 1%, and a few of the wines do too. And I also make that warning. A lot of people are making kombucha at home, so if your friend is making kombucha, typically that alcohol content can start to approach beer because that's a fermentation process. Whenever we ferment, and I wonder, and I don't know, what about kimchi? I mean, what about cabbage fermentation? I would assume that it's generating some alcohol. Not that most of us can't enjoy that, but people that are alcoholics want to stay away from it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Joyce, I'm done. What do you think?
I will just hope this has been helpful for you to see that, there are other options out there. It's not about deprivation. It's about really bringing in healthier, cleaner options for you so that you can start feeling better, looking better, and aging in reverse, my big promise. I often work with health enthusiasts like those that might be watching, beauty experts, fitness professionals, and busy parents who are really looking to transform their lives and enhance their longevity through the art of detoxification. And if this information was really intriguing to you and you just would love to learn more, I am creating an incredibly fun and entertaining and highly educational step-by-step online course. So if you'd like to learn more about that, I'm going to have a pre-launch special, and you can add your name to the list so you can find out all that information. We're going to have that link down below. And it would be really exciting to connect with you and welcome you into that experience, welcome you into that online course when it launches.
Well, that sounds exciting. Hey, and Joyce will do our reviews of those 3 drinks we talked about. But everybody, thanks for joining us. Remember, free gifts, additional information, and links provided in the videos. Read more. This has been Justin Case and Joyce Rockwood sharing the repercussions of drinking alcohol and some options to get away from it. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected, and please connect with Joyce in the links below so you can learn a few healthy suggestions on how to not go bananas.